Live from New York. This is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm doing alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How are you doing today on this Friday?
Happy Friday. Looking forward to our discussion tonight. Picks. Had a great week last week. Looking to replicate it this week.
You beat me again. It was rough out here. Although we're starting off good, so it doesn't bother me too much. We're starting off 1-0, so even playing field. Yeah. This is probably one of the worst, or maybe interesting, depending on some of the outcomes of the games. But a lot of teams are missing. We're on 6 teams that are on bye weeks. It's a very, very short week when it comes to picks, so I can't make up too much ground. I do have 4 wins over you, I think, in the point spread, and then you're beating me pretty handily in the win-loss there. So hopefully I can bounce back a little bit. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Thursday night football, we're going to discuss that, as well as we're bringing some games into this. We're doing top 10 quarterbacks and bottom 10 quarterbacks. I got the top 10, you got the bottom 10, so stay tuned for that. But let's start with last night's game, which is the Los Angeles Chargers decimating the Minnesota Vikings. Carson Wentz did not have a good game, and he looked like he was very, very injured throughout that game. He was getting battered and bruised, pressure on over 50% of his dropbacks in this one. He did have 1 interception and 1 singular touchdown with only 144 yards. Meanwhile, Herbert, nearly 300 total yards, and Kamani Vidal, the 3rd or 4th string running back, depending on how you're looking at him, he had his second 100-yard game of the season, which is also the second of his entire career. Before this year, 34 yards was his career high. So he's having a phenomenal year thus far, taking the place of Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton, who are both dealing with injuries and have yet to return. So overall, I want to know, what was your reaction to the Chargers bouncing back from getting decimated by the Colts last week? What's your reaction to their bounce-back game?
Herbert throws 3 TDs, together with 117 yards rushing by Vidal, led to a 37-10 victory by the Chargers over the Vikings that, for Chargers fans, was really swell. I thought the Chargers were in control the whole way, basically. I was very surprised that the Vikings' defense was so weak in this game. Generally, they have a pretty good defense and a good leader in Flores. I think they got to be quite worried. I mean, in addition to throwing the 3 TDs, Herbert had 62 yards rushing. Well, the Vikings, they had no rushing game at all. Scott, 2 for 16 yards. Aaron Jones back. You'd think they'd get some production out of him. 5 carries for 15 yards. The Chargers knew that, they were going to be throwing it because they couldn't run it at all. I think it was a nice win for the Chargers, who had lost 3 out of 4 and probably were pretty worried to win this game convincingly after they got beat convincingly last week by the Colts. Was a nice bounce back for them, and their record at 5-3 is still very competitive, and I think they'll challenge for a playoff game. They scored 30 points for the first time this year and didn't punt at all in this game. The Vikings now have lost consecutive games for the first time this season, and it happened over a 5-day span. Very short turnaround for them in this game. They only had the ball for 21 minutes. They were 3-11 on 3rd down and just 12 first downs the whole game. You mentioned Wentz, 15-27, 144 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception. He was sacked 5 times, and he was beat up. He has a left shoulder injury, and you could see that it was hurting him a lot. But can't win games without any running game, and we've seen that time in and time out. Teams who cannot run the ball are not going to win.
Well, I think overall, I think that did have a massive impact on the game, because it looked like he couldn't step into any throw. He was wincing as he was throwing it. He wouldn't actually complete his throwing motion. He would throw it and then step back because he was afraid of getting hit and feeling what I assume was excruciating pain based on his reaction. But I was thoroughly impressed through and through. The defense stepped up massive after giving up 38 points to Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts, who, again, I think some people are coming around, but a lot of people still think the Colts are frauds or not as good as their 6-1 record and the number 1 running back and Daniel Jones being a top 5 quarterback in the league. All of it, they still think they're a little bit fraudulent. I think their defense had a beautiful comeback. Mickens had his first career interception, but I think the storyline for this game is Herbert is a tremendous player, but he's a really different quarterback when he has Joe Alt out there, because he looked very uncomfortable the last 4 games. He barely beat the Miami Dolphins. He kept throwing interceptions. He couldn't push the ball down the field. And early in this game, it looked like it was going to be a repeat of that, where it would have been pick 6 by Isaiah Rodgers, and then it got overturned, 14-point swing, because they ended up going right down the field and scoring a touchdown. So it looked a little bit, for us picking the Chargers to win this game, it was a bit nerve-wracking to all of a sudden see Justin Herbert going out there throwing another interception, which then got housed. But then all of a sudden, lucky, because apparently, it was a controversial decision to overturn that call, but overturning it, and then it's like, okay, and then they finally get going. But yeah, Joe Alt being out there makes a world of difference, because now you're not down to your 4th and 5th string offensive lineman. You could actually put in a top 10, top 5 offensive lineman in the league to help out Justin Herbert there. But one of the massive parts of this is you are down Najee Harris. You are down Omari and Hampton. Vidal had a great game, over 100 yards rushing, second time in his career, second time this season. But Justin Herbert's legs were a massive part of this game. Bunch of first downs he ran for were beautiful runs. He left some touchdowns on the board. There was one to Gadsden when towards down the red zone, he decided to break away and run. But ultimately, and that's another part of this, I think his legs were a massive part of this, and I actually want to see more of that. Now, obviously, there's an injury risk there, and Justin Herbert has a little bit of an injury history. But ultimately, I do think that his legs are going to be a massive part of his success if they can't push the ball down the field, maybe throwing the football downfield if they're getting shut down in coverage. But that's another thing. Gadsden, back-to-back tremendous games. I picked him up off the waiver wire from my fantasy team, already bringing me, he had like 15 points or something like that, so helping me out there. But that's the interesting thing. The young guys are helping out the offense massively, and also on the defense. But the offense, the Chargers offense finished with 419 yards and 4 touchdowns. Rookies and second-year players accounted for 71.6% of the total yards of offense, as well as all 4 touchdowns. So their young guys are putting up some serious production. That's coaching. That's having, Justin Herbert, an all-world quarterback there. But I do think what's interesting is this is how Greg Roman's offense has to work. You have to be able to run the ball very effectively in order for the passing game to develop, because I brought the number out there. I don't have it on hand for me right now, but you look at Greg Roman's statistics, you look at his records, under 100 rushing yards, you win about 1/3 of your games. And that's with Lamar Jackson. That's with top-tier Super Bowl appearance Colin Kaepernick. That's with some seriously good quarterbacks. That's with Justin Herbert. And you only win about 1/3 of your games if you rush for under 100 yards. We're seeing a little bit more success now because they have 1 or 2 more major game-changing players. Ladd McConkey's developing. Quentin Johnston's now not dropping every single pass. And I think right now you're building up the offensive line. It's still banged up entirely. Bozeman is the worst center in the NFL, but having Joe Alt there made a world of difference and made
Keenan
Justin Herbert
Allen
look
helps a
comfortable.
lot too, and I think having that veteran presence for the young receivers is helpful. I bet it's helped Quentin Johnston quite a bit, and McConkey just looks like a very good talent.
Well, I would also say that it's just a secure guy to have on third down. Who are you going to go to? Let's go to a guy that's been around the league for over a decade and just throw it to him. And there's already a connection there from seasons prior. So you have that guy. You have your security blanket there. Then you have a playmaker like Ladd McConkey. Now all of a sudden you have a young tight end in Gadsden. You have your running back Vidal, who had a very good game and has had a very good game this season. You have your playmakers. And by the way, there's still some injuries. The offensive line's banged up. You still don't have a number of pieces on both sides of the ball. And to have a game like this against a defense that doesn't do this, they do not allow games like this. And to do that with the injuries you have, with the performances you had the last month, I thought it was an overall great win for them.
Well, we've given Greg Roman a pretty hard time on past shows. You have about running being a key element of a successful offense for the Chargers, but it seems to be a key element for everybody. Well, the teams that don't run the ball well don't win. You got to have at least a credible running game. It doesn't have to be fantastic, but it's got to be enough so that the defense, so it keeps the defense honest. Yeah. And last night that was not the case for the Vikings. I mean, they had Scott with 2 carries for 16 yards, and Aaron Jones coming back off an injury, only 5 carries for 15 yards. Come on. I mean, Carson Wentz out there hurt. I give the guy a lot of credit to play in that game when you could tell he was getting hammered. He had 5 sacks. And they don't why not just hand the ball off more and try to run it?
You were down massive at that point.
They were down big time. So why did it hurt to try to run the ball more? Maybe they could learn something. They got to have a run. You got to have a running game to win in the NFL.
Well, I think it was interesting how Aaron Jones comes back from injury and all of a sudden he's just not effective at all. And here's the interesting thing. Kevin O'Connell said in the post game how if J.J. McCarthy's healthy, he'll play. They play the Lions next week. There's no shot they win that game. I'm saying it right now. I checked the point spread as soon as I saw that report. 8.5.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that's shifting more in the Lions' favor coming up for the next week in week 9. I don't think there's any saving grace for this team because Carson Wentz didn't play very well. He had a couple nice moments, but ultimately he wasn't a great quarterback for you. J.J. McCarthy just flat out looked ready for a quarter and didn't look good whatsoever the rest of his time playing before he got hurt. Now coming back against the Detroit Lions, I mean, and the Lions I think are coming off of a bye. That's a recipe for just it's going to be bad.
I see Wentz starting again. I don't think they're going to put McCarthy out there in that situation.
Kevin O'Connell said if McCarthy's healthy, he's playing.
Well, that's if.
Well, I mean, we saw what Carson Wentz looked like. He couldn't throw the ball without, hiding himself.
Yeah, well,
basically.
they're in trouble. They're not for real, the Vikings right now.
Well, they're trying to find answers. They think they're still a serious contender for a Super Bowl. They have talent. They have Justin Jefferson. I mean, also we have
the way that defense played last night.
Well, also Christian Darrisaw, their left tackle, he went down with an injury and was out for this game. There were a couple injuries there, but ultimately it wouldn't have mattered. That's the overall statement of it. It wouldn't have mattered. The Chargers defense is doing a bunch. The Chargers offense could not be stopped. Brian Flores' defense got cooked badly.
Yeah,
they were able to run the ball. Herbert was able to extend plays with his legs. He was able to throw a very nice deep ball as well. I mean, he was all over the place. Brian Flores, his defense got cooked. So, next week should be interesting. Putting J.J. McCarthy out there against the Detroit Lions,
it's a bad
coming
game.
off of a bye, too.
A bad game. A bad game for him to come back. I would think they'd find a way to delay it one more week for him.
I just don't. He looked so unprepared. And I know this is technically his first year starting. He's a second-year player, first year starting. I still have the note there about his just how Michigan never relied on him. I see he averaged 155.6 passing yards a game, and he averaged 17.8, attempts per game? Attempts per game. That's not an NFL starter that you could rely upon, and that was my big worry. If you can't run the ball, you have to rely on J.J. McCarthy's arm. And if he's averaging 17 attempts in college, that just shows Michigan didn't need to because they were all about running game and ground and defense. You have partially the defensive part. The ground game still needs to develop. So we'll see what it looks like. I just think you're going into the Lions den, literally. You're going to get curb stomped, I think.
No, I think so too.
8.5 point spread.
No,
and that's with Carson Wentz supposedly going to be the quarterback.
Bet now. I mean, I think the point spread's going to get higher.
I might. I think it's unfair to bet 2 weeks in ahead, although it is a good bet. All right, we normally do this at the beginning of the year, but we're doing it, midway through the year. This is my top 10 quarterback list through 7 weeks. Now, spoiler alert, there is a quarterback that just played that is on this list. So, because he deserves to be in the top 10. But yeah, let's begin with my top 10 list. This is how we're doing it. Through 7 weeks, I have to preface it, everybody has their opinion. Everybody loves to critique each other. So some people will agree. Some people will disagree. But I think maybe the order might be a little bit wrong, but I do feel wholeheartedly these are the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. So let's begin with the number 10 quarterback.
Number 10.
Let's go Jared Goff at number 10. So first of all, let's go with the positives. He's second in completion percentage. He's 9th in EPA per dropback, and he's 9th in passing yards. My thing is, he got a little bit reckless, and honestly, the shocking part is they're not as explosive in the passing game as we've seen in previous Jared Goff years. They're dinking and dunking a lot more than I would like from, supposedly, an explosive offense with the amount of talent that they have. He's 29th in air yards per attempt. With the amount of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams, and now you have Tesla as well. You have a lot of really, really good talent around you. You're trying to rely heavily on the passing game or heavily on the running game, and having Jared Goff dink and dunk more than I want. This should not be 29th in air yards per attempt. He should be at least midway, amongst the NFL quarterbacks. So 16th, somewhere around there. I think, if it comes down to it, Jared Goff passing when you can't run the football, we have yet to really see it. I might get a little nervous if all we're doing, John Morton, all he's doing is doing dinking and dunking. I don't exactly like it, but he's been very effective. The numbers are there, second in completion percentage, which I guess correlates with the air yards per attempt. So he's at number 10. Let's go with the next one.
Number 9.
I got Justin Herbert. It might be a little low, but we just saw a 4-game skid where he couldn't stop turning the ball over and couldn't move effectively offensively. But he's a completely different quarterback when he has Joel out there, and that's really why he makes this list at where he's at. He's 3rd in passing yards a game. He's 10th in pass EPA. He's 7th in passing touchdowns per game. Here's the big part of why he gets dinged and maybe not higher than what other people want is he has the 4th most interceptions in the NFL at 7. So he's also the 2nd most pressure quarterback. That correlates with the lack of offensive line and why Joe Alt out there is so crucial out there. He's also the 5th highest graded quarterback according to PFF. So he's been very effective when he has somewhat of a stable offensive line. The injuries to Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton definitely hurt, but Vidal has definitely picked up the pace there, picked up where these running backs left off. You also have injuries all across the wide receiver. Keenan Allen, you have Quentin Johnston. You have injuries that I don't love, but people are stepping up. Gadsden's stepping up. We're turning back the clock on Keenan Allen as well. So Justin Herbert, he's 9. Will he improve? Will he go up the ranks eventually if he keeps improving, keeps stringing games along like this? Absolutely. But speaking about quarterback that needs to string along some good games in order to increase.
Number 8.
I got Jalen Hurts at number 8. Great game against the Vikings. Great game. But it seems like what we just saw from Justin Herbert is a couple quarterbacks could have really, really good games against the Minnesota Vikings. But here's my thing. There's way too many questions surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles offense, and really it starts with Jalen Hurts. We have A.J. Brown out this week, which should be interesting to see if Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert is still questionable. You have a lot of guys on the injury report offensively. Saquon has yet to really get going at all. So I have a lot of questions about this offense, and it relies heavily on Jalen Hurts' ability because we just saw him throw 23 attempts, and they were very explosive and cooked the Vikings defense. But what happens if we need to go to 28, 29, 30-plus attempts? Well, I can't wait to see it, and maybe, I guess for the Eagles' sake, I don't think we should because you have Saquon Barkley in the backfield, which should be better. But Jalen Hurts is 12th in passing yards, 6th in passer rating, 9th in yards per attempt, and 18th in EPA, pass EPA. I have zero issue putting him higher on this list, but I do need to see more games like we just saw against the Vikings and maybe more reminiscent of 2022. Patullo needs to work on this explosive offensive game that we just saw because Jalen Hurts can do it. You need to scheme it up and trust that your quarterback, who you're spending, over $50 million on, could actually get it done. So Jalen Hurts at the number 8 spot.
Number 7.
Let's go with Sam Darnold at number 7 here. The Sam Darnold JSN connection will feed families because JSN is looking like the offensive player of the year. And Sam Darnold, again, this is kind of what we saw with the Minnesota Vikings. You let your quarterback go, your franchise quarterback go, Geno and Kirk Cousins. You bring in Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold leads the Vikings to a 14-3 record. He falls out the last 2 games of the season. And look at the Seattle Seahawks competing for the NFC West, which looks like, again, it reclaims the title of the most competitive division in the NFL. He's 8th in passing yards a game, 8th in passing touchdowns, 5th in passer rating. He's number 1 in yards per attempt. He's tied with Drake May as the best deep ball passer in the NFL with a perfect PFF deep grade of a 99.9. However, what we saw in a couple games is a little too reckless. The Texans, if they were a little bit more competent offensively and didn't get absolutely shut down in the red zone, the Texans had several opportunities to go out and take the lead and beat the Seattle Seahawks. Also against the Buccaneers, he throws a game-losing interception. There are some of these reckless plays that I don't love. He's at number 7. He could be, if he just gets rid of the recklessness or at least minimizes it, he could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now. But because of the recklessness, because of the interceptions, he's got to be at the number 7 spot. Let's go with the number 6 spot, a familiar face.
Number 6.
Let's go Baker Mayfield. He's put the team on his back, really. Now, some of the numbers aren't great. There's some where he puts him in like the 12, 13, and even, below that in some of the statistical categories. But just the pure clutchness that we've seen throughout the entire season. They have one win. That's not a game-winning drive. That just shows how clutch Baker Mayfield has been this season. And really, he's been this way his entire career. He's one of the most fourth-quarter comebacks since coming into the league. He's been down to starting offensive lineman. He's been down his top 3 receivers. He's been down, his top-tier running back. And he just keeps winning games. Now, he had a very bad game against the Detroit Lions. It was a really, really ugly game. You lose Mike Evans to a shoulder injury, as collarbone broke as well, and a concussion. So that definitely hurts. Chris Godwin's been banged up the entire year. Emeka Egbuka is coming off of injury report, so it'll be good to have him this week. So he's going to have his top-tier target, I think, his top threat. So maybe he can increase, but he is the clutch king so far this season. He's been very, very good. It's just he has these moments. Early in the season, I had a lot of question marks about his completion percentage. Wasn't completing many passes. We saw it against the Detroit Lions. They did a very good job at minimizing Baker's effectiveness. But this season, he's 6th in passing yards. He has 13 touchdowns, 12 picks. He has 16 big-time throws and only 1 turnover-worthy play. So he's been a nice, explosive Baker Mayfield that is highly effective. He's my number 6 quarterback. Let's go number 5.
Number 5.
I got Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. This cannot be disputed. I'm sorry. There is literally no statistical data whatsoever besides passer rating where he's 9th that you could say that Daniel Jones is not a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. This is the redemption story of the ages. I mean, we're talking about a guy who got abandoned by the New York Giants. The New York Giants abandoned this quarterback. He comes over to the Colts. He's been a perfect fit for Shane Steichen and his offense, operating it beautifully. He's 4th in yards per attempt, 5th in passing yards, 5th in completion percentage, like I already mentioned, 9th in passer rating, 2nd in pass EPA, 2nd in QBR, scale of 0 to 100, 80.4. Ahead of Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar. Name your favorite quarterback. Daniel Jones is above him besides one quarterback that is a little bit farther up on this list. He's number 1 in EPA per dropback, so he's been an incredibly efficient quarterback. They do have the best offense technically in the NFL when it comes to EPA and efficiency-wise. And this is a Daniel Jones-led offense. Does it help they have the number 1 running back? Sure. Does it help they have a top-tier offensive line? Sure. But we also have to look at the games. You have to look at the games and realize that Daniel Jones is operating at an incredibly high level. He deserves much higher odds than he actually does. Much shorter odds in the MVP race than he actually does. I'm not saying he's going to win it just because the name brand of Daniel Jones MVP, that doesn't ring very highly in people's ears. That just doesn't make sense. But he is playing at an incredibly high level. He is a top 5 quarterback right now in the NFL. You cannot dispute it. They have the number 1 record in the entirety of the NFL. And here's the big thing. He's not losing them football games. He's been incredibly effective and has won them a couple football games. So give me Daniel Jones at the number 5 spot.
Number 4.
This one was rough for me, but I am going to put Josh Allen here. I was really contemplating putting him lower because he hasn't been a great quarterback. Early in the year, he was back to his effectiveness, but as of late, he's been slipping very, very badly when it comes to turnovers and just overall effectiveness. They lost to the New England Patriots and followed up with a loss against the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons team that got shut out by the Carolina Panthers. Yeah, that Falcons team. But I still think he remains a top 3 dual-threat quarterback in the NFL who could turn it on at any given moment. I still think when they go up against the Chiefs in 2 weeks from now, I think it'll be interesting to see if that offense gets back into rhythm, gets back into gear. Here's my concern, though. He needs help from his team because his defense is a sieve. So you're going to need Josh Allen's Superman, which is where Josh Allen's effectiveness diminishes. Because if he has to go Superman for all 60 minutes, it's not going to be a pretty sight. We'll see games like the Patriots. We'll see games like the Atlanta Falcons where he has to do everything in order for them to even get close to winning. This season, though, he's 7th in yards per attempt. He's 6th in pass EPA, and he's the 6th highest graded quarterback by Pro Football Focus. But ultimately, when I'm looking at it, he can't be Superman. Can he do it? Sure. Is it a winning formula? No. You cannot have Josh Allen be Superman for 60 minutes and expect to go that far. He's a phenomenal quarterback. He deserved the MVP last year, but this season, the last couple of games, he's been slipping. They play the Carolina Panthers. They're 7.5-point favorites on the road in Carolina. It'll be interesting to see what this offense looks like after coming off a bye, after coming after those 2 losses against the Patriots and the Falcons. So we'll wait and see. The number 3 quarterback.
Number 3.
I got Patrick Mahomes here. It seems like this offense is back in rhythm. Now, the Rashee Rice, that first touchdown was a gimme. That's a Mickey Mouse touchdown. The jet sweep, little toss, he runs out. That's what the Chiefs do. But ultimately, no. This team seems to be back in full form, at least offensively. Mahomes is 3rd in QBR at 77.9. He's 4th in passing yards. He has 14 touchdowns, 2 picks, 3rd in pass EPA. He's actually, if you look at it, before this week, He was their top runner on the team, which that's how bad the Chiefs maybe were. Their offense was. They couldn't run the ball if Mahomes is your leading rusher. But ultimately, now you have Pacheco, who's like 20 yards above Mahomes. But I still think that technically, impact-wise, Mahomes is the top-tier running threat on the Kansas City Chiefs. His 4 rushing touchdowns already through 7 weeks are tied for the most in his career in a singular season. So that just shows he's been putting the team on his back when they've had these dips offensively, and he's done a tremendous job. In the last 4 weeks, 71% completion percentage, 282.8 passing yards a game, 11 touchdowns, 1 pick, a passer rating of 117.2. I think if you go out this week and just absolutely decimate the banged-up Commanders who are starting Marcus Mariota, we're going to see Mahomes in the 1 and 2 quarterback conversation. But right now, he's still getting there. I still think these 2 quarterbacks, the entire season, they haven't had these dips really, so I can't put Mahomes above them yet. And people are going to hate this. But again, it's about the data. It's about the eye test. It's about the context. The number 2 quarterback is Drake May. He's played incredibly this season. He is part of the MVP conversation. Amongst quarterbacks that have played 5+ games, he's the number 1 quarterback in passer rating. He's 3rd in yards per attempt. He's number 1 in completion percentage. And since 75.2 the entire season. And since week 2, so take the Raiders game out, 78.2% completion percentage. Nearly 80% of his passes. He just broke a Patriots record for completion percentage at over 90%. He's tied the Tom Brady 2007 season for some like crazy statistic that I don't have off the top of my head. But if you're tying Tom Brady in the 2007 season, which is arguably the greatest season, actually no, inarguably the greatest quarterback season of all time, you have to put him in the MVP conversation. He's played absolutely incredible. But let's go back to what I said about Sam Darnold. He is tied as the best deep passer in the NFL with the 99.9 grade. You can't get higher. He has 10 big-time throws. Here's the big one. 0 turnover-worthy plays. That was the big question. Can he tone down the bad throws and the interceptions? Well, he has. And what's crazy is on these deep passes, he's more likely to throw a touchdown than an incompletion. 5 touchdowns, 4 incompletions on deep passes. He's been incredible. And the reason why you put him over Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes is think about the talent. Think about the expectations. The Patriots, who are notorious the past 5 years for having the worst supporting cast, taking a risk, taking a shot on Stephon Diggs to see if he could bounce back. You have Mac Hollins as an offseason acquisition. You have Demario Douglas. You have Kayshon Boutte. These are guys that you don't expect to be big-time playmakers, and they have been for the New England Patriots. He doesn't have a Hall of Fame tight end. He doesn't have a Hall of Fame offensive coach. He doesn't have any of that. He has Mike Vrabel, who's a very good culture builder. He's done, again, you look at the recent history of the worst front office moves in the NFL, firing Mike Vrabel would be probably at the top of that list. So I think right now what the Patriots have going, I mean, Drake May deserves more MVP votes. He deserves more talk. The Patriots are not an attractive team based on their recent history. I think Drake May's putting the Patriots, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's kind of true, putting them back on the map as an attractive team, maybe for next offseason to acquire some top-tier talent. Drake May's been playing out of his mind. He's my number 2 quarterback through 7 weeks. And finally, the number 1 quarterback
number 1
is Dak Prescott. It has to be Dak Prescott. He's number 1 in QBR at an 81.2. Again, very close to Daniel Jones, 80.4 compared to 81.2. But how much faith did we have in the Dallas Cowboys? Dak Prescott coming off an injury. You're letting Mike McCarthy go after a couple 12-win seasons. You're hiring Brian Schottenheimer, who didn't call plays the prior year. You didn't really do much in the offseason. You let Micah Parsons go. They were only favored in 6 games to start the year. George Pickens, wide receiver, the personality concerns from the Steelers, what we saw, and now him on the Dallas Cowboys, the biggest market in the NFL, Jerry Jones, meddling owner. All these questions offensively with Dak Prescott, what could he do coming off the injury, lackluster offense, how are they going to, losing Zach Martin, all these things. He's been incredible. He's been basically what I'm saying is, everything that he's done so far this season, he deserves to be the front runner of the MVP, in my opinion. He's number 1 in QBR, number 2 in passing yards, number 4 in completion percentage, number 4 in passing EPA. I think that there's a serious shot that they go out and beat the Denver Broncos in Denver this week. I also think that if they do, and let's say the Eagles slip up a little bit against the New York Giants, this division is wide open. I think the Dallas Cowboys could win this division and take control once again from the Philadelphia Eagles. And also think about this. Dak Prescott in this offense has to overcome each and every week the worst or close to the worst defense in the NFL. And they're still going out here and being competitive and winning games. So Dak Prescott's been playing out of his mind. I think that really, I personally think, and I'm biased obviously because I made the damn list, but I think that there's not many arguments you can make that I'm inherently wrong with my top 10 quarterbacks. Maybe the order people have issue with, Jalen Hurts after that before it should be 6. Baker Mayfield. I think the top 10 quarterbacks are here. Mm-hmm. I had Jordan Love. I had to put Baker in there, though. Jordan Love was my number 10. And then I forgot, I completely forgot about Baker Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
I had
How
to slip him in there.
Matthew Stafford? He couldn't crack the top 10.
Where would you put him?
I might put
Sam Darnold, maybe? I think that's a good point. Good point.
Yeah. I don't know. I might put him, I do think Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback. I think the offense now is designed a little differently. They have such a great running game. They're not going to risk throwing the ball deep down the field. That's one reason they dink and dunk. And they run it a lot. So, I think he's playing in that system.
Yeah.
And he's playing extremely well in that system. I think that Stafford could maybe have gone in there for either Herbert or Hurts.
Okay.
I think he could have gone in there. I think that one thing Hurts has is the running ability. Right. And that I think that makes him a top 10 quarterback. I do think they might have swapped.
Maybe I missed on Stafford. Maybe.
I think I might have swapped Josh Allen and Daniel Jones.
Okay.
Daniel Jones hurts from his past. That has there's a little bias there, I think, when his past performance has been so poor.
Yeah.
But it was only because he didn't have the supporting cast, and he had a very poor offensive line in front of him. Now he's got talent around him, and look what he's doing. So I do think I think I would swap him and Allen, because Allen has gone back. I think he's regressed a little bit. His ranking is nowhere in QBR. His ranking is like 13th, I think. So and he's gone back. He's regressed. He's throwing more interceptions. I mean, right. he was throwing the ball away, being very conservative about that, and the Bills win every time he does that. He hasn't been doing that. So we'll see how they play on Sunday coming off the bye. I'll be very interested.
Yeah,
I like the top 3 there. Having Drake May ahead of Patrick Mahomes is, May is a small sample size. But for this season, just these games that have been played, I can't argue with that.
Not career.
Baker Mayfield at number 6. I mean, a guy who is, as you say, led comeback wins in all of his games except one, and done it in like the last minute with some incredible plays.
Yeah.
Even though his QBR is lower, you got to put him in the top 10, and I don't argue with him being at number 6. So overall, I like what you've done. I do think Matthew Stafford should be in there somewhere.
I think okay, fair. I just think you have to drop it. So here's what I would do. Jared Goff goes. You drop 6 down. You put Stafford at 6.
You put Stafford all the way up to 6.
Yeah, I mean, 17 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's 3rd in passing yards. He has a high passer rating, but...
And winning-wise, too. That's another thing for Daniel Jones. They have the best record in the NFL.
He's winning.
Yeah.
Matt Stafford's a little low in EPA, though. Little low. I just think you lose to Mac Jones, you're going to get dinged. You can't lose to Mac Jones.
What is Stafford's QBR?
I gotta bring that up. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
But yeah, that wraps up my top 10 quarterbacks. Now it's time.
Let's go in the other direction.
Who are the worst? Hold on, these are potentially boom candidates for next season, maybe.
Yeah.
Because my God, there's some beauties in this one.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go. Your bottom 10 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, and my analysis, I liked your analysis in terms of a lot of color on each quarterback. Mine is more just data driven. I like the QBR.
Is this the Harvey?
This is the Harvey formula.
Yeah.
The QBR statistic to me is the one that really is most important for a quarterback, a holistic measurement of the quarterback's performance beyond the traditional passing metrics. Includes passing performance, difficulty of each throw, quality of the opposing defense, the pressure factor on the quarterback, and they get more credit for the long passes that are completed. They also get a credit for rushing, designed runs and scrambles, turnovers and penalties, fumbles and penalties are a factor in the rating. The situational context, the EPA, expected points added, plays value based on the game situations. I like that statistic. There's an adjustment for the opponent, how strong they are, an adjustment for garbage time. If they're out there playing at the end, and they're just playing prevent defense or just running the clock out, there's an adjustment for that. So I like QBR. I give it a 1.5 point. I multiply it by 1.5 in my rating, and then I add the passer rating. Okay? So based on that, my number...
let's start with the number 23 quarterback.
Number 23 quarterback is Michael Penix. And his QBR is 47.7. You multiply that times 1.5, you get 71.6. Plus his passer rating at 85.2. He gets 156.8 points. That's the highest among these 10 worst quarterbacks. He's young. I mean, this is really his first year starting. He started 3 games last year. He's made some mistakes out there, and that has affected his QBR, which is not at 50. You kind of QBR is 0 to 100, and his QBR is less than 50. So I think that this is a good spot for him. He was the number 8th pick in the 2024 draft. I think he's got potential, and maybe he can move up in the ranks some more before the year is done. I think he suffers from having a weak coaches on the Falcons. I don't think Raheem Morris is the best offensive mind out there. Okay, moving on to number 24. That is Kyler Murray. He was the number 1 pick in the 2019 draft. He's been hurt, but he's played enough games so that I wanted to include him. And his QBR 44.6 times 1.5 is 66.9, plus his passer rating at 88.6, 155.5 points, puts him at number 24. I don't know. He may drop down more because you see Jacoby Brissett out there lighting it up in the Cardinals offense. Actually, I think outperforming Murray, and I'm not sure who is starting this weekend. Do we know? Is it going to be Murray?
I'll come back to you on that one.
Okay, while you're doing that, I'll go on to number 25. That would be Caleb Williams. And a little disappointing for Caleb Williams to be ranked now at number 25. He was the number 1 pick in last year's draft, but you look at his QBR, he does break fit. He's over 50% at 51.1. You put the factor on that, you get to 60.2, and plus 92.9 passer rating gives him 153 points. Good enough for him to be ranked the 25th quarterback. He's gotten away. I think Ben Johnson's helping him a lot. He's gotten away from, when the play breaks down, trying to make something special out of something that's not there and throwing the ball away more. So it's cut down on his turnovers. And maybe he can move up in the ranks as the season goes on, as the Bears have been playing much better lately. I think they've won 4 in a row, right? The Bears I think they've won 4 in a row now. But I don't think they're going to win this weekend, but we'll get into that later.
Kyler Murray will come back.
Okay, so that'll be interesting to see. Okay, number 26. Here I have Bryce Young, number 1 pick in the 2023 draft. Played terrible the first part of the year, as he has in all of his beginning games in each of his 3 years. He's improved lately, but I think it's more because the running game has gotten going for them, and it's taken a little pressure off him. His QBR at 44.8 plus the factor gets him to 67.2 plus his passer rating at 84.4, 151.6 points. Good enough for number 26 in the ranks. I think they got their work cut out for him this weekend, and I don't see them winning. And I don't know if he's going to even play because he has an ankle injury. We'll have to wait and see. I guess he's
doubtful.
He's doubtful, yeah. So the Red Rifle will be in there playing for them. Okay, moving on to number 27. I have Tua. And, I was thinking about ranking him lower based on just some of the stuff he's been saying and how he's performed the last couple of weeks. 3 interceptions in each of those games. Out there talking about leadership when he's a captain, and there's a lack of it. And he's coming up really small. His QBR shows it too at 42.8, very low. Plus the factor gets him to 64.2. Plus the passer rating 82.8 gets him 147 points. Good enough for number 27. I think he should keep his mouth shut and show what he can do on the field. He and Mike McDaniel, I think Tua got benched at the end of the last game because they played so poorly. And I think McDaniel still in danger of being fired, although no news from leadership about that at the Dolphins. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, moving on to number 28. And here we have the $55 million quarterback, number 1 pick in the 2021 draft, Trevor Lawrence. And, wow, if somebody's not getting their money's worth from a huge contract, I would say it's the Jacksonville Jaguars. As you look at Lawrence's QBR at 42.9, adjusted to 64.3, plus the 80.6 passer rating. He only got 144.9 points. Is that worth $55 million a year? I don't think so. And he has decent wide receivers. He has Brian Thomas. He has Travis Hunter out there. He generally plays reasonably well in the first half, and then he just kind of falls apart in the second half. So I know a lot of question marks around him. I'm sure that they brought in Liam Cohen, supposed to be the quarterback guru. I'm sure he's unhappy with how Lawrence has played so far. It's reflected in this ranking. He's number 28. Moving on to number 29, I have Justin Fields. And, he suffers from being on the Jets, gets sacked all the time. He's pressured all the time. His QBR at 31.8, one of the lowest. Adjusted to 47.7, plus his passer rating at 91.1, which isn't so bad. Actually, it's the highest one amongst the lowest 10 quarterbacks. Gives him 138.8, but I guess he's benched, right? He's not playing this weekend?
No confirmation.
No confirmation
Glenn
yet.
wouldn't answer the question.
I see. So I think he's getting a bad rap on the Jets. I think he's better than this. The Jets haven't figured out their offense. They could have more of a running offense with him and designed runs. He's a very good runner. And the Jets have a good running back in Breece Hall, but they just can't seem to get that going. Wide receiver, Wilson's out. He's hurt. They didn't really have a good number 2. They never really went out and got one. So I think he suffers from the organization and the scheme that he's in. But that puts him at number 29. Number 30. I have Carson Wentz, and unfortunately he was hurt last night, you could tell, and the offensive line has some injuries there. So I think he was dealt a bad hand there last night, but it's reflected in his score. His QBR only 40.6, adjusted to 60.9, plus the passer rating at 85.8 gives him only 116.7 points. He's had, 4 starts, three starts now. I think he's been out there three or four. And, he's got excellent wide receiver talent. Going to Justin Jefferson, he was doing that at the beginning of the game last night. Jordan Addison, a quality receiver, and Hawkinson, the tight end. Those are top, you could say they're top 3. They're in the top 3 in terms of a team of wide receivers out there. but he hasn't been able to really click with them too well. He was the number 2 pick in the 2016 draft, and we know about his career. He was on an MVP path. They won a Super Bowl, but he had hurt his knee before that and was out near the end of the season. After that, it had been a downhill. He's been with multiple teams. Now he's with the Vikings, and O'Connell, who turns quarterbacks that are questionable into reclamation projects, hasn't been able to do it with Wentz so far, but it's still a small sample, so we'll have to wait and see. But he's the number 30 quarterback. Moving to number 31, it's Geno Smith. And poor Geno, he's having a tough time, throwing a lot of interceptions. He's getting sacked a lot. His QBR is only 34.4. I mean, that's pretty bad when you take in all the factors that go into making this ranking, the judgment out there and the ability to execute. You adjust that to the 36.8 and then plus the 77.1 passer rating. It only gives him 113.7 points. That's right down near the bottom. And unfortunately, he's with the Las Vegas Raiders, and last year they only won 4 games. Looks like they're headed to something similar or maybe even worse this season. They gave him an extension. I feel bad for him. I mean, he's had some good seasons. Actually, starting with Pete Carroll in Seattle gave him a chance, and he played very well that year as a comeback player of the year that year. But now he's next to last in quarterback rating in my scheme. And finally, the worst quarterback in the NFL this season through 7 games, according to the Harvey formula, is Cam Ward. The number 1 pick in the 2025 draft has a 24 QBR rating. Times 1.5 gets you to 36, plus his passer rating at only 70.9 gives him 106.9 points, the lowest on the scale here. He suffers from being with the Titans, who Brian Callahan turned out to be a flop as a coach, and he was fired. Now they have McCoy, who I don't know if he has any offensive skills or ideas that can help them improve their offense. They looked okay in the first quarter against the Patriots and then completely fell apart. And, he's playing a little over his head. He isn't playing. He's playing worse than that. And he's playing under his head. And maybe they should sit him down and let him watch a few games, I think. That might help him a lot. But I guess Levis, he's not even ready to play, right? He's been hurt. So those are my ranks, Nate. I don't know. What do you think?
I just looked at it. In ESPN's total history of QBR, Cam Ward has the 4th worst ever. 4th worst ever. So Josh Rosen had better. Will Levis had better. Mark Sanchez, Nick Foles, Chad Haney, Jamarcus Russell, all had better. Jamarcus Russell in 2008 had a 29.2. Cam Ward, 24.0.
Wow.
And raw, that drops down to 2nd worst all time. Raw QBR.
Wow. No.
So, yes, he's having a very bad
year. Do you have any critique?
I would. Here's the thing. Carson Wentz, he's going to be benched soon. So, have him there. I'm fine with that. He started 5 games. It's fine. I'd honestly shift everybody up 1, drop Tua into the 3rd worst quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
He looks scared behind the pocket. He can't throw an accurate football. 7 of his 10 picks are when he's clean pocket, not pressured at all. I think that Caleb Williams, we've had a couple good games from Caleb. Unfortunately, when you look at now what Ben Johnson's trying to do, he's trying to go more into the running game and have Caleb Williams as a nice side piece. Have him as, basically the icing on the cake. He's not the actual substance of the offense. They want to run it, sort of what Ben Johnson did in Detroit with Gibbs and also Montgomery. And honestly, DeAndre Swift, if you remember, former Detroit line. I just want to also point that out. So yeah, I'd probably move up Caleb Williams up a little bit. I'd maybe put him over to Kyler. Kyler is just, I don't know what to do with Kyler. I really don't. I don't think that he'll get a long-term extension at a big-time number. Will he stay with Arizona and sign a lesser deal? He should. I think he has some market, but is he going to be making the next highest, next man up, $61 million? Hell no. I don't think he'll break mid-50s in his next contract.
I don't either. Unless he steps up and does more. He's the 24th ranked quarterback.
I can't see
the
it.
one quarterback that I eliminated from this was Joe Flacco, who was ranked. His QBR was ranked pretty low, but he was with the Browns in the first few games, and his game against the Steelers last week, he really showed something to me, and he got T. Higgins and Jamar Chase involved finally.
Right.
And I'm looking forward to the game this weekend to see how they play. I'm actually picking them to win.
On Cincinnati, I'll see if I can find an individual QBR, because I feel he has looked better. That's the thing. He has, 5 touchdowns, no picks, compared to 2 touchdowns, 6 picks with the Cleveland Browns. So he's been playing very, very well. 65% completion percentage with the Bengals compared to 58.1. So he's been playing at a much higher level here. I think he deserves higher than what's on this list. He has 100 passer rating on the Cincinnati Bengals. So I agree that he does not deserve to be on the top 10
rank. Yeah, maybe next time around we'll have him in the rankings.
I mean, I don't think he's played like a bottom 10 quarterback.
No, I don't either.
On the Bengals.
On the Bengals.
On the Bengals, I don't think he's played as a bottom 10 quarterback. 5 touchdowns, no picks. He has more passing yards in half the games. No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. Higher completion percentage in half the games, more yards per attempt, he has more than double the touchdowns in half the games. So he's been playing lights out so far with Cincinnati Bengals. They play the Jets this week. That should be an interesting matchup. But coming up, we're going to take a very short break, but coming up, Week 7 is in the books. Now it's time for Week 8. We make our predictions for Week 8 every single game. We make our picks and predictions, as well as Harvey Hot Hand. Another winning week in the books. Always good. 3-2 week. We're going to continue the trend a little bit. We're going to keep it going. Hopefully add another winning week. I honestly hate a bunch of these picks. It's very difficult to pick these games to the point spread. So, we'll come right back after this about 30-second break to make those picks for you.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Friday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is our Week 8 picks. Every single week throughout the NFL season, we make our picks and predictions for which teams will win and also cover the point spread. So let's begin with my picks. We cover this week. The 3.5 I liked for Minnesota. That was the poll. Once it dropped to 3, I hate it. It's not in favor of the Minnesota Vikings, so I pull over with the Chargers. So they did end up covering. So we're starting off 1-0. We need this 1-0 start because you're still beating me on the win-loss pretty handily, so I'm trying to bounce back here. But let's begin. Bills at Panthers on Sunday. Give me the Bills to win. However, the Panthers will cover that 7.5. That 7.5 point spread is a big, big point spread for a defense that doesn't do that well. And especially, I know the red rifle or the red water pistol will be out there. But ultimately, I think that the running game of Rico Dowdle in particular, not Chuba Hubbard, that's what they're going to lean on because the Bills defense can get got, and I expect it will have a little bit of trouble against the Carolina Panthers running offense. As well as, I can't believe this, the Panthers are undefeated at home. They are an incredibly great home team. I think this might be a touchdown, but I still get that cover. So give me the Bills to win, but the Panthers will cover at home. Give it through and through. Next one, Jets at Bengals. We don't know who the quarterback is for the New York Jets this week because Aaron Glenn wouldn't answer a question. However, Rich Cimini reported that it probably will be Tyrod Taylor who will replace Justin Fields. Either way, I don't think it makes much of a difference because of what we just said before the break. Joe Flacco's been playing very, very well. You go up against, it was the Unk Bowl between Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco played a damn near perfect game. So I think we're going to look at a Bengals defense that's very opportunistic. It's top 10 in takeaways. Tyrod Taylor turns the ball over a lot. Justin Fields doesn't turn the ball over a lot interceptions-wise. However, he doesn't move. The offense doesn't move. He's 34th in first downs per game. That's unacceptable. He is under 50 first downs. He's the worst quarterback who started 6 or more games to have that, by the way. So give me the Bengals to win and cover at home. They cover the 6.5 points, but as well as some injuries, which I'll get into a little bit later. Hint, wink, wink, maybe a Harvey Hot Hand pick. Our next one is the Bears at the Ravens. Lamar Jackson will be starting. He's listed as questionable, but he's expected to play. I don't think it actually makes much of a difference. I think this Bears defense is interesting. It's taking the ball away at a very, very high level. The one thing that the Ravens keep losing to is when they turn the ball over. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how this game plays out. I think the defense is hitting a very, very high note right now, and if Caleb Williams can operate at an effective level against a bad Ravens defense, as well as can DeAndre Swift run the ball effectively again for my fantasy team, I hope he does. But ultimately, I do think that the Bears can keep this game relatively close. This could be a 6-5 point game in my opinion, so I'm taking the Ravens to win. However, I do think the Bears will cover. Their defense is playing at a very high level. The offense seems to be rounding out and learning. Cole Kmet's out. Colson Loveland will get some action. There's a tight end matchup in this draft class. Tyler Warren is miles ahead. Can Colson Loveland catch up? By the end of the year, maybe, but he has a lot of ground to make up. So give me the Ravens to win. However, the Bears will keep it relatively close and cover the +7 point spread. Next one, Browns at Patriots. The Patriots finally get to go home. After a 3-game road stretch, they finally go home, which, by the way, they went 3-0 in that road stretch. They're undefeated on the road so far this season through 4 road games. So they come home now against the Cleveland Browns, who just obliterated the Miami Dolphins. Here's what's interesting. I do think the Patriots will win and cover this game because I think that their defense is suited for what the Browns need to work, and that's their running game. The Patriots are, I believe, 8th or 9th against the run. So that means that if they are successful and remain consistent in stopping the run or at least slowing it down, that means Dylan Gabriel will be throwing the ball and need to throw the ball more. There are already reports and rumors out there that Shedeur will play at least 4 games, the last 4 games of the season. Could we see Shedeur in there next week? Probably not, but maybe. He needs reps. If the Patriots go up by 10, 14, they may throw him out there. I don't know, but I do think that this is a great spot for the New England Patriots. The culture's there. You're coming off of a great road stretch. And what young teams that are on these long road stretches, if you come out undefeated, that shows you have a great culture, a very, maybe depending, because they're the Patriots, underrated team. Drake May's playing out of his mind. I think the Patriots will take care of business here against Cleveland. Give me the Patriots win and cover the 7 at home against the Cleveland Browns. Next one. We got the 49ers at the Houston Texans here. Nico Collins will be out for this game. That means you'll be left with basically not a lot of talent offensively against a 49ers defense that played very, very well against the running attack of Bijan Robinson the prior week. I thought, and supposedly Mac Jones will also be playing in this game. They're still being very cautious with Brock Purdy, as they should if you're paying him like $53 million a year on average. But I do think Mac Jones, he's operated this offense at a very, very high level. Is it explosive? Is it big-time throws? Is it massive chunk plays? Not necessarily, but is it effective, efficient offense that works? And is he 4-1? Yes and yes. The defense of the Texans will scare me a little bit, but I just think if C.J. Stroud, he's in this weird sophomore and now junior year slump, the offense is picked up a little bit, but ultimately it's not as great as what we saw in C.J. Stroud's rookie year. Meanwhile, Mac Jones is another resurgence project where he's done a tremendous job within Kyle Shanahan's system. CMC, I don't love how he got 31 touches last week, but if it works, it works. I just don't want to see him run down by week 9. I want to see more Christian McCaffrey effectiveness throughout the season, so maybe, hopefully, you get it to your playmakers instead of just Christian McCaffrey in general. So I bet against Mac Jones last week, and I picked the Atlanta Falcons. I'm taking the 49ers this week. I think Mac Jones will get it done against a depleted Texans offense. I think C.J. Stroud, there's something weird going on. The offense doesn't look the same. Give me the 49ers in an upset in Houston. The next one, speaking of the Falcons, Dolphins at Falcons. This has to be a Falcons win. I said that about the Dolphins last week. That was a must-win. You can't lose. Oh, and they got obliterated by the Cleveland Browns. But I just think that this is a complete mismatch. What's interesting, and I'm going to have the stat, I'll repeat it for the Harvey Hot Hand. You know this big stat about Tua and the weather and whatnot, and the Falcons do have a retractable roof. So I decided to dig a little bit deep. Since 2022, in a retractable roof, as well as temperatures of 64 degrees and below, Miami's still 0-2. Still winless. So it doesn't matter if you're in a retractable roof or if it's 64-degree weather, which it will be in Atlanta, Tua will lose. Oh, they are bad. They are bad. So give me the Atlanta Falcons as well as the Dolphins do not have a running defense. Bijan Robinson is arguably the number 1 running back in the NFL. I still think it's Jonathan Taylor, but impact-wise, Bijan has that ability to be that massive playmaker. I think the Falcons will get it done and blow out the Miami Dolphins, which should end Mike McDaniel's tenure as head coach of the Miami Dolphins, because how much leeway are you going to give a guy who keeps getting blown out consistently? I don't know. Stephen Ross, like I said in last show, has a crazy amount of patience, which most head coaches and owners and everything, front office officials, they don't have. So give me the Falcons. They cover and win in Atlanta. Next one, Giants at Eagles. This is, you have to beat them. You cannot let Jackson Dart and this offense, and as well as the defense, who just let up 33 points in the fourth quarter to Bo Nix, who couldn't move beyond the 50-yard line with much effectiveness, you can't let them pounce on you again. And I think with A.J. Brown gone, this point spread actually may shrink a little bit, which I'll check before the show ends because maybe we need to update it, and I think that should be a rule. We should update it before the show ends. As soon as the show ends, the point spreads are the point spreads. But I do think that the Eagles, A.J. Brown's down, which opens up Devontae Smith. You're going up against the Giants team, which Saquon Barkley absolutely destroyed last year. You need to see more of that this year. Saquon just doesn't have it. The offensive line isn't as consistent as it was last year. I think ultimately the Eagles should get this win. They have to get this win. You just had an explosive offense against the Minnesota Vikings. You have to do a similar thing this week. I think you'll get it done. I think it'll be I think it could be like a 28-20 game, so you barely cover the points, but I will take the Eagles to win and cover in Philly. Next one, Tampa Bay Buccaneers and New Orleans Saints. This is a bounce-back game. Mike Evans is gone. Chris Godwin's out, but you have Ibuka coming back from the injury report. So I will take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win and cover against the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. Baker Mayfield said in a media press conference that this is personal and how the Saints play dirty. This is a Baker Mayfield that when he has something to play for, he normally plays much better. He got absolutely destroyed by the Detroit Lions and kind of embarrassed himself. And normally good teams, if they get embarrassed the following week, they'd play really, really well. And I think Baker Mayfield and this Bucs team will do it. I think that they played pretty poorly against the Detroit Lions. The offense, it had its chances. The defense did a pretty good job at least relatively stopping the explosiveness, which honestly the Lions might not have this year. So maybe they didn't stop it because the Lions just don't have it. But I think the Bucs, they had their chances. They got to give Baker more than one shot at winning without a game-winning drive. I think they will in this game here against the New Orleans Saints that struggle mightily with Spencer Rattler at quarterback. So give me the Buccaneers. They win and cover on the road. They cover the 4.5 point spread in New Orleans. Next one, Titans at Colts. The worst quarterback against a top 5, arguably top 4, could be top 3 quarterback in the NFL of Daniel Jones. This is a 14.5 point spread, and I'm taking it all the way. The defense was tremendous last week against the Los Angeles Chargers. The offense was explosive. You had another 3-touchdown game by Jonathan Taylor, and Daniel Jones contributed a touchdown or two of his own with I don't think he had an interception in the game either. So they're playing at a very, very high level offensively against a Titans team that just doesn't do anything right. You're the number 1 running back. Your offensive line is top tier. Shane Steichen's offensive scheme is tremendous. The defense played very, very well last week. I say that continues against arguably, or based actually on all the numbers, the worst quarterback in the NFL and who has the 4th worst QBR in NFL history. So give me the Colts to win and cover the minus 14.5 point spread at home. The next one, Cowboys at the Denver Broncos. This one's an interesting one. I went back and forth. Broncos cover. Cowboys cover. Cowboys win. Broncos win. Back and forth. This game I cannot gauge properly. But I will take the Cowboys to cover, but I do think the Broncos will win. I just think that the Cowboys defense is so bad, it'll allow J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey and the running game to develop a little bit. I think that'll drain some clock. That'll allow longer sustained drives, allow Bo Nix to operate the play action and also the short and intermediate routes that he performs very, very well in. The deep passes he struggles in a little bit. But I do think that the defense will be the Achilles heel of this Cowboys team. And I think that's what will get them to lose. I think that there's a shot. If the defense plays up to it, I do think that the Cowboys can win this game just because of the high level of play Dak Prescott's playing at with CeeDee Lamb and Javonte Williams in a revenge spot for Javonte Williams, along with George Pickens as well. There's a lot of opportunities for the Cowboys to win this game, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, and I'll say that they'll lose by a field goal or less. The Broncos will get the victory because the Cowboys' defense is either one of the worst or the worst in the NFL, so I can't give them the win exactly. So Broncos get the win. However, the Cowboys do cover in Mile High. And by the way, I think the Cowboys are, 8-17 or 8-19 against Denver, so the record is in favor of Denver. Sunday Night Football, Packers, Steelers, Rodgers playing the Green Bay Packers. It could be the 5th quarterback in NFL history to beat all 32 teams. This is really his only shot to do it because it sounds like this is going to be his last year in the NFL, and he says he wants to retire as a Green Bay Packer, which is interesting. But yeah, no, I do think that this is a spot that we've already kind of seen. Rodgers, revenge game, week 1, he played out of his mind. We saw a pretty big dip from week 1 against the Jets throughout the season. I think this is another revenge spot. Also, there's some statistics out there. Mike Tomlin against the spread as a home underdog, 21-7-3. So it's in the favor of Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers here. He's 2-2 on Sunday Night Football as a home underdog. So I will take the benefit. Again, Mike Tomlin plays well in these late games. Doesn't do so well on Thursday. He does well on Sunday night. So give me Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers in an upset over the Green Bay Packers, which I still can't gauge if they're actually good or not. Their defense has moments and spots. Micah Parsons had a 3-sack game, but nearly lost to Jacoby Brissett and the Arizona Cardinals. It's a very weird thing. The Packers, I can't fully understand. Are they a great team? Are they a good team? Are they a really weird, overrated team? I'm not sure. But I will take Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers to get the upset win on Sunday Night Football, which wraps up Monday Night Football. Commanders, led by Marcus Mariota, at the Kansas City Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes, who are playing at lights out. And I do think that this will be an absolute dominant performance by the Kansas City Chiefs through and through. I think that this won't be that close, honestly. I think the defense has stepped up. The offense has exploded onto the scene. And Marcus Mariota, he's now turnover prone. He's not that great of a quarterback thus far. He has his moments. He has his spots. But ultimately, he's not that great. Mahomes and this team is back in Super Bowl form. He's my third quarterback, and he's my top 3 quarterback in the NFL. So I do think that the Kansas City Chiefs will take care of business. And we got this in. It went all the way up to 13.5 at one point. It's dropped down to 12. We got it at the 11.5 number. So there we go. The Kansas City Chiefs, they do win and cover the minus 11.5 point spread. And I'm kind of shocked by this before I send it over to you for your picks. The point spread of the Giants game has not moved an inch. It's still minus 7.5, sans A.J. Brown. So there you go.
That's interesting.
All right, your picks now.
Okay, so I had a good week last week, 12-3. Actually positive on the point spread at 9-6. Won last night and got the point spread right. They got the point spread totally wrong. I mean, the Chargers blew them out, so that was a little bit of a surprise. Moving on to the games here on Sunday, the Bills and the Panthers. The Panthers have won 3 in a row at home and have a much improved running game with Rico Dowdle. The Bills have the league's leading running game, actually, at 151 yards per game. The Panthers improved their run defense some in the last 3 weeks, only 2.5 yards per carry. Buffalo's run defense has been terrible, second worst, 156.3 yards per game. The Bills are rested, coming off a bye. Allen has never lost 3 in a row in his career, so I think the Bills win and cover this game. I noticed that you had the point spread. The Bills don't cover the point spread. That could be. I don't know. Is Bryce Young going to start?
To me, it doesn't matter. I think that the Bills' defense cannot let this game. They cannot blow out any team right now.
Okay, Jets and Bengals. The Bengals -6. I'm taking the Bengals and the points. The Bengals have beat the Steelers, and Flacco had a great game last week. I expect that that kind of performance to carry over in this game against a weaker opponent in the Jets. With Flacco at quarterback, Chase and Higgins have been very productive, which is good to see. The Jets are without Wilson and Sauce Gardner. The Jets' quarterback situation is a disaster. So bad that Aaron Glenn can't even pick a starter. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I do like the Bengals to win again, but not cover. I'm having the Jets. The Jets' defense has played better. But now Sauce Gardner out, I probably shouldn't have done that. But I'm going to stick with it. Okay, on to the Bears and the Ravens. You have the Bears winning. I have the Ravens winning and covering. I think it's too bad for the Bears that Lamar is back. The Ravens' offense should look more like it did in weeks 1 through 3, averaging 37 points. Roquan Smith is also going to be back to help improve the run defense. If it turns out to be a shootout, I like Lamar and Derrick Henry to perform better than Caleb Williams and Swift. So I'm taking the Ravens and the points. Moving on to the Browns versus the Patriots. I like the Patriots playing at home and the winning by a touchdown. May appears to be one of the best quarterbacks, completing 75.2% of his passes and now not turning the ball over, which is really key. He can also run when he has to. He's actually a very good runner. However, of the Pats' first 7 opponents, only one had a defense ranked higher than 15th in points or yards allowed. The Browns are first in defense, 256 yards per game allowed. Only D in the top 5 against the pass with 173.7 yards allowed and run 82.4. I think it's going to be a lot tougher for Drake May this week. The plus for the Pats and the reason why I think they will win and cover is the Browns are a one-dimensional team. They have nothing on offense, really, and except for Quentin Junkins. Moving on to the 49ers and the Texans, I agree with you. The 49ers are going to upset the Texans. The 49ers defense performed well against one of the better offenses in the Falcons last week, holding Bijan Robinson to 4.6 yards per touch, 3 yards worse than his season average of 7.7. On offense, Christian McCaffrey had 200 yards from scrimmage against the previously top-ranked defense. Houston, on the other hand, against Seattle was poor play calling, missed blocks, drops, and penalties. 1 TD scored by the offense, and that was with only 2 minutes and 4 seconds left to play. The defense kept them in that game and is first in points allowed at 14.7. Only team in the NFL history to be first in points allowed and have a losing record. That doesn't say much for their offense. 49ers coaching is much better, and I think it will be the difference in this game. The Dolphins versus the Falcons. I think the Dolphins are spiraling. Tua leads the NFL with 11 takeaways and career low 82.8 passer rating. Falcons have a top-rated pass defense and improved pass rush. Chain is the Dolphins' best player by far, I think, with 6 most scrimmage yards in the league. Bijan Robinson, though, leads the league in scrimmage yards per game at 152.3. The Dolphins' defense is last against the run, 26th in total yards allowed, 29th in points allowed. They're going to get creamed by the Falcons. Moving on to the Giants, the Eagles. I agree with you. The Eagles can't lose this game. They won't lose 2 in a row. Eagles wouldn't lose 2 in a row to the Giants, especially when they're playing at home. They're 28-6 since the start of 2022 at home. The Giants had an epic collapse against the Broncos. I'm afraid that might still be in their head when they get into this game. The Eagles need to play better on 3rd down on both sides of the ball against the Giants and get their running game going better than they did against the Giants 2 weeks ago. The Eagles' passing game was great against the Vikings, but as you say, A.J. Brown is going to be out. They need to put a balanced attack together with the run and the pass. They haven't done that yet this year. They really haven't had a good running game at all in any of the games. So look for them, I think, this week to get the running game going and the passing game to be similar to what it was last week, maybe a little less because Brown is out. But I think they'd beat the Giants. The Bucs at the Saints. I think the Bucs are going to win this and cover. The Bucs have Mayfield Magic. The Saints have Rattler with his 1 win in 12 NFL starts. The Bucs lost to the Lions last week with Mayfield not playing his best. But the Lions are Super Bowl contenders, and the Saints are cellar dwellers. So I think should the Saints start Tyler Show, and why not give him a try? They're 1-6. They're not going anywhere. Evans is out for an extended period. But Ibuka is going to be back, and so I don't think that matters too much. I see the Bucs kind of probably winning this one with not too much difficulty. Titans at the Colts. Colts are prohibitive favorites playing at home. Titans have the NFL's worst point differential at 96. They fired their head coach, and McCoy doesn't seem to be any better based on his performance against the Patriots. Colts have the best point differential at plus 92. The Colts won the first matchup by 3 TDs. Josh Simmons, the best Titans defensive play at lineman, is out for this game. I expect Jonathan Taylor to have a field day. The Cowboys versus the Broncos. I had a really tough time with this game, too. I I thought I might pick the Cowboys. The only reason I'm picking the Broncos is they're playing at home. There's lots of storylines in this game. How will the Broncos perform after their historic comeback win last week against the Giants? Dak Prescott's top quarterback and an MVP candidate, performs well when not under pressure. But he's 117.6 passer rating, but only 89.6 when he's under pressure. He's going to be under pressure in this game for sure with the Broncos' super-duper defense. The Cowboys have a trio of pass-catching stars, Lamb, Pickens, and now Ferguson. But they've not faced a defense like the Broncos that has allowed only one receiver to gain 100 yards and only given up one passing TD this year so far. That's amazing. Javonte Williams, I'd say it's a revenge game for him. Bo Nix against the Cowboys, league worst defense. That's interesting. Give me the Broncos in a close one. Okay, the Packers and the Steelers. This one, I think you're right. I think I've made a mistake here. I don't know. Will you let me change it? I think the Steelers are going to win. Both teams have been inconsistent. The Packers are better than the Steelers in points, yards, EPA, and both on both offense and the defense. The intangibles, though, I think are the reason here. Rodgers' revenge game against the Packers, the Steelers at home in prime time. Metcalf can exploit the Green Bay's vulnerability at cornerback. The other thing is Micah Parsons been rounding in the form. He had a career game last week, and Love should be able to exploit the Steelers' own recently victimized secondary. But will you let me change it?
If you really want to change it to the Steelers.
I'm going to change it. I
Sure.
want to change it to the Steelers.
Sure.
I don't think the Packers are going to beat them.
I'll change it.
Okay,
sure.
thanks. I appreciate that. Commanders at the Chiefs. The Chiefs 12.5 points. I think they'll cover. The Chiefs are the scariest team in the NFL right now. They're winning four of their last 5. Mahomes playing very well with 18 total TDs. The Chiefs offense back at full strength. Rice is back. He had 2 TDs last week. The Chiefs have scored 126 points in the last 4 weeks. The Commanders' defense is one of the worst. Daniels won't play. The Chiefs' defense ranked 3rd in scoring and 5th overall. I think they're going to easily handle the Commanders and cover that point spread. Those are my picks, and thanks for letting me change that one.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
All right. Well, I always say this, and it's always true. It's time now for my favorite topic of the Harvey what's the show called? The Harvey Hour? Yes, the show's called the Harvey Hour. It's the Harvey Hot Hand. For those who don't know what the Harvey Hot Hand is, it's where I pick the 5 teams that you should bet on. Sometimes 6. Record is 7 that you should bet on if you're sports betting. And by the way, I just want to point this out here. I want to bring you in real quick. Sports betting, not popular in today's day and age right now.
No.
After the NBA big scandal, and it's only getting bigger, I might add.
Oh, yeah?
There's a lot of branches to this big screwed up tree, so much so the NFL even posted a memo about its gambling rules. This is getting really bad, really ugly.
I think it's a really bad look for the NBA. They just started their season. They played their first game this week, and now they have this coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, we go to NBA games, and when we're out there, we're wondering whether the mafia is involved in and having players throw the game by having fake injuries. I mean, this is bad, really bad. And the sports betting is a really big thing now.
Yeah.
These kinds of things, you might hear more about it in other sports as well.
Yeah. Well, I do not have insider information, somewhat unfortunately. But you know what? Let's make some money. Let's try to make some money here. We haven't lost money throughout the 3 years that I've done the Harvey Hot Hand. Have never lost money. So let's continue this. We had another winning week. That's what we like to see. So let's begin. This is going to be a little fun thing we're going to do. First pick, Harvey Hot Hand, Week 8 is
Dolphins at Falcons.
Give me the Falcons here. Miami has no run defense whatsoever. Bijan Robinson should and could and will have a field day in my prediction. I said this earlier on the show, but I'm going to say it again. Since 2022, there's this big stat out here, Tua, cold weather, stuff like that. Well, let's do a little bit of data, shall we? Since 2022, when Tua became the starting quarterback, in retractable roof stadiums, and as well as if the weather outside is 64 or below, Miami's 0-2. They still don't win. So it doesn't matter if you're playing in 45, 55, 64 degree weather. If you're in a retractable roof and it's 64 or below, you're still winless. It's a bit of an issue, in my opinion. Miami doesn't have any leadership. They don't have any competency. They have no guy that they can look up to or any positive direction that they're going in. So what are you going to do? Well, you're going to bow down and just accept fate. I think right now you look at it, Miami's 0-4 on the road. I think, with Bijan, like you said, Bijan's number one in scrimmage yards per game at over 150. So I think the Falcons should and I think will have a big-time game. They win 34-21. They cover the minus 7.5 point spread. Miami, it was a can't lose last week, and you lost. Time to give up, throw in the towel, season's over. Let's go to the next one.
Titans at Colts.
Give me the Colts here with this one. Minus 14.5. I'm going to take the big point spread here. I have Daniel Jones as the 5th best quarterback in the NFL, and you have Cam Ward as the worst quarterback in the NFL. As well as, if you look at it, the QBR, he's the 4th worst QBR in NFL history. Yikes. He plays for a Titans team that doesn't do anything right. Offensive line's not good. The running game is very, very below par. Wide receivers, Calvin Ridley's going to be out this week. The defense isn't very good. They do nothing right. Meanwhile, what do we just see for the Indianapolis Colts offense against a Chargers defense that should be much better? They absolutely obliterated them. And what did the Colts defense that got cooked against Jacoby Brissett do against Justin Herbert? And that offense did pretty damn well. I know the points were a little bit all over the place, but when you win by 14 points and you put up 38, I'm fine. Your defense can give up 30 points. It doesn't matter. Your offense was so spectacular. I think that will continue here. The Colts with Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor in this offensive line with Shane Steichen, I think they are absolutely incredible. Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell, I believe might be out for this game. It's rough to say, but he is a very good receiver. Just can't fumble the ball out of the back of the end zone, in my opinion. So even Amir Abdullah was getting some big-time touches last week as well. So giving the Colts in a minus 14.5 points, they cover. They win 31-14.
Jets at Bengals.
Give me the Bengals here. Joe Flacco, I said Randall Cobb was a walking mummy. Joe Flacco's older than him. So give me the Bengals here. Cover minus 6.5 point spread here. We aren't even sure who the Jets starting quarterback is right now. Could it be Justin Fields? Is it Tyrod Taylor? To me, it doesn't matter. I think Cincy is an opportunistic defense right now. They are 9th in takeaways, which is big. They're getting a lot of shocking. They're getting more interceptions than I thought that they would to start the season out. And Joe Flacco could still sling the football. 100 passer rating since he came over to Cincinnati. 5 touchdowns, no picks, a completion percentage of over 60 compared to his 58 completion percentage with the Cleveland Browns. Excuse me. Here's a big one though. The Jets, I don't think, will do much against the Bengals offensive line. Their pass rush is ranked 28th. And what I saw for a Bengals offensive line with one of the worst offensive tackles in the NFL of Amarius Mims went one-on-one with TJ Watt and won, I think, 17 out of his 18 solo reps against TJ Watt. Is that Amarius Mims being great, or is that TJ Watt being lackluster? I think it's a combination of both, but if you look at it, Amarius Mims did a tremendous job, so I think that'll continue against a pass rush of the Jets that isn't that great this year. And I'll also add, Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson are both out for this game, which means Brandon Stevens is going to be on either Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. Yikes. I have Jamar Chase on my fantasy team. Hopefully he gets like 5 touchdowns for me this year. Or this game, excuse me. So give me the Bengals in a big-time win. They win 24-17. They cover the minus 6.5 point spread. Next one.
Browns at Patriots.
Maybe a risky one, but I don't think so because Drake May has been has played at an MVP level and should be an MVP candidate because he's been absolutely incredible. They just were on a 3-game road stretch playing against the one of them, MVP last year, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, and beat them. They are currently undefeated on the road so far this season. Now they go home against the Cleveland Browns team that can't figure things out right properly. Their defense is great. Offensively, they're starting Dillon Gabriel, who just got his first win against the Miami Dolphins, who do not currently have a defense. I understand this is going to be a difficult matchup for them passing-wise. I think that maybe Travion Henderson will get more than 2 touches this week. I hope. He's better than that. Ramondre Stevens just had a great game last week. I think that will continue. But ultimately, I just think that the Browns didn't play particularly well against the Dolphins and still were able to crush them just because they had about 35 yards to work with offensively because Tua kept turning the ball over. I do think ultimately, though, the Patriots defense lines up with what the Browns want to do, and that's running the football. The Patriots defense is 3rd against the run. So in that case, you have to rely on Dillon Gabriel's arm, which I don't think anybody actually trusts that much. So if you force Dillon Gabriel to try to make some big-time throws, I've seen it consistently over this year. most notably overseas, where he played very conservatively and threw it to not lose the game instead of trying to win the game. So I'll take the Patriots here. They continue their hot streak. They win 28-20 and keep hold of the number 1 seed in the AFC East and the number 2 seed in all of the AFC. Given the Patriots 20-20, they cover the -7 points. And finally,
Buccaneers at Saints.
this one was interesting, but I will take the Buccaneers to win and cover the -4.5 point spread. Tampa Bay got embarrassed on Monday Night Football against the Detroit Lions, and normally when a respected team who has respectable players and should be a relatively good team, if they get embarrassed, normally they bounce back the following week, and I do think that they will. In particular, Baker Mayfield, who, yes, is down Chris Godwin, is down Bucky Irving, is down Mike Evans, but I do think that having Ibuka out there will help drastically. He's off the injury report. He should be fully healthy to go. I think he was still a little bit banged up on Monday Night Football against a very, a hungry Detroit Lions team that just got embarrassed the prior week by the Kansas City Chiefs. So this is their moment to shine. Baker has something to play for. He said in the press conference that this is personal. They play dirty. So I think, that motivated, confident Baker Mayfield, that's where he plays his best. And I do think what's interesting is New Orleans has had 5 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. Tampa Bay has averaged 2 takeaways in the last 3 weeks. And I think that'll be a big factor here. If Baker Mayfield can play with high energy, medium to low recklessness, and just toning down the turnovers, and their defense is being able to take the ball away from Spencer Rattler, I think this will be a big-time spot here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to come up with a big-time win and redeem themselves for last week's performance. So I got the Buccaneers winning 27-21. They cover the -4.5 point spread, and those are my 5 picks. I will say my 6th pick, I technically have 2 picks, but my 6th pick was the Dallas Cowboys at +3.5.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
High risk one.
It is high risk, but I think ultimately
Denver has the best defense, and they're playing at home.
I think that Dak Prescott's playing at such a high level. I got to give him some. He's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL right now, according to me, and according to ESPN.
Now, Williams is a revenge factor on running back there, too.
True. And I just think that the offense is playing lights out. And the defense just let up 32 points to Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo.
Yeah. How about I like your picks, except I think I worry a little about the Patriots, even though I did pick them. I picked them as well, and also to cover.
Because where am I going to go?
The Patriots are playing it. This will be the toughest defense by far that they played against. All the others have been like number 15 or worse. So I worry about them in this game, and they're lucky to be playing at home. I think that helps them. I might have swapped out Washington, Kansas City, even though it's 11.5 point spread. They got Marcus Mariota out there.
I know.
And the Chiefs have been lights out, and they're playing at home.
Right.
They're that guy with a giant bass drum. They go boom, 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 boom. The fans are going. They're all in sequence. I mean, that's a tough place to play.
Jesus.
I must say.
Well, I will say another interesting one is I think the Carolina Panthers, the +7.5. That's a big point spread for a defense that lets up a decent amount of yards and points. And I might add, the Panthers are 3-0, averaging 29 points per game at home and 188.3 rushing yards per game.
Plus, the Bills can't stop the run; they can't tackle anyone.
Right, so I think that was another potential pick, and I might just have that just as a spare bet just to have. But ultimately.
Spare.
Yeah. Like for instance, I already have the Bears +6.5, and it went up to 7. So unfortunately, I'm screwed over on the edge there, because there was a risk of Lamar not playing. And I do think that Lamar, how healthy is he? Actually, he was limited, and he actually did start off not practicing early this week. Then came as a limited participant.
They said they wouldn't play him unless he was 100%.
Well, if you don't practice the start of the week, and then you're limited, and then you're questionable, but you're expected to play, I wonder. Also, the Bears have hit a high point. Dennis Allen has finally figured something out on that defense. It's interesting. But, yeah, those are my picks for the Harvey Hot Hand.
If Lamar doesn't play,
he's going to play. He's going to play.
I would pick the Bears if Lamar wasn't playing, but they said he's going to play.
Yeah. We'll say this. NBA season's underway.
Yeah.
Already starting off with controversy. The Celtics-Knicks play right now. Celtics are winning 14-13.
May go watch that.
The starters are so weird.
We have the World Series coming.
World Series is today.
Yeah.
So
I like the Dodgers in that. I just don't.
They're delayed, by the way.
Why?
I guess it's raining in Toronto.
Oh.
I would have loved to see the Mariners in this spot. It's just a race to who could lose to the Dodgers. For parity's sake, I'll take the Blue Jays.
You're picking the Blue Jays.
They haven't won since like the early 90s.
Yeah, I got the Dodgers. The
back-to-back
Dodgers,
as well?
every player is an all-star.
Right. Shohei Ohtani, Mookie
And
Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy, Enrique Hernandez, Tommy Edman. That's 8 really good guys.
Yeah. And plus, their pitching staff is very good.
Blake Snell. Although I will say Kershaw has the worst ERA out of 100 innings pitched in MLB history, in MLB postseason history. He's like a 4.49 ERA.
Well, he's going to redeem himself this year.
Maybe, but Blake Snell, Glasnow, I mean, yeah, they have some really, really good pitching. They're a great team, but just for posterity's sake. Yamamoto, true, yeah. So I'll take the Blue Jays. I expect to be wrong, but just to say I'm different.
How many games? If it's the Blue Jays, it's going 7. Because they're going to have to win it at home at the end.
Yeah,
but they're lucky to be starting at the Blue Jays. That's a plus for them. But I just don't see how the Dodgers can lose.
So does like the entirety of America.
Yeah, well, that probably means they're going to lose.
Well, that's why Toronto's a Canadian team. All of Canada's rooting for the Blue Jays. America can't see the Blue Jays winning. Canada can. So there you go. All right, that wraps up today's show. We thank you for the constant support as always. We'll be back here on Tuesday to recap all of Week 8 to see who moves up, who moves down, what teams are for real again. This is 1 week away from the midpoint of the NFL season, so a lot to still discuss. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Good night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts